Attorney Michael Cohen is sentenced to 3 years in jail. A 9-year-old girl has just committed suicide in Alabama. Lastly, an Islamic extremist kills 14 people in France. This is A Better World, and I'm your host, Luis Acevedo. Starting off today, we're going to talk about the sentencing for former attorney to the president, Michael Cohen. He has been charged on 9 counts of felonies ranging from tax evasion, campaign finance violation, and lying to banks and Congress, all of which have nothing to do with the real reason the special counsel was put into place, which is Russia collusion. They found no evidence of Russia collusion, and people who have nothing to do with any kind of Russian collusion are now going to jail for other crimes. I think people should pay the price for the crimes they commit. I'm not saying that Michael Cohen is being treated unfairly. I just believe the special counsel has overreached. Do I think Michael Cohen should go to jail for the things that he has done? Maybe, probably. I think it would be the most honest thing to do, being that he did break the law. And if you break the law, there's a price you have to pay. So he's being sentenced to 3 years for those things. The biggest thing right now that is implicating President Trump is the hush money he provided to 2 women that President Trump wanted to keep quiet before the election. This is where the campaign finance violation comes into play and where President Trump may experience some trouble. However, if he does experience trouble, it will be completely unfair and extremely biased on the media's behalf and everybody's behalf, because President Obama did the same thing. He was fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for violating the same law. Yet, he wasn't impeached. He didn't face any trouble during his presidency, and not too many people know that. Bill Clinton was also charged or facing trouble regarding campaign finance violations. Both of those people were able to get it thrown under the rug, not that big of a deal. Typically speaking, campaign finance violation laws, when they are broken, it just means a slap on the wrist, a fine, that's it. No jail time, not enough to actually impeach a president. However, in the Constitution, it does state that the president can be impeached for felonies or misdemeanors. So it doesn't really matter what crime the president is to break, he can be impeached for that. Do I think President Trump will be impeached for this? I don't believe so. And if he is, I've already talked about this before, this will not be good for the Democrats. Why? Well, Republicans try to do the same thing to Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky thing. There was no real need for an impeachment to take place. They still brought it to the table. What happened? Bill Clinton, was proven innocent of whatever charges pushed against him. He became more popular, and he won re-election. This is what's going to happen if the Democrats try to do the same thing to President Trump. It will be a completely idiotic move on their behalf. So, if you're a Republican and you're a Trump supporter, or even if you're a Democrat and a Trump supporter, it would be best if they were to try and impeach President Trump, because it's just going to show the biases among the mainstream media and how far the left is willing to go to get President Trump out of office. And may I remind everybody that, once again, there is no evidence of Russia collusion. That is the real reason that these people, Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, have been prosecuted, is because of an investigation into looking for Russia collusion with the Trump campaign, which they found none, and everybody that's being charged is being charged on things that have nothing to do with the Russian government colluding with the Trump campaign whatsoever. So this is exactly what President Trump has been calling it, and plenty of people on the right have been calling it now, a witch hunt. As myself, I've been calling that as well, that it is a witch hunt. They are just reaching for anything they can to try and damage President Trump because they don't want him to be in office. They are very upset they lost the election. Hillary Clinton was supposed to win, and she didn't. Therefore, there had to be some cheating going on, when nobody talks about the fact that she actually tried to steal the election. There is evidence of that. This isn't a conspiracy theory once again. This is a actual fact that Hillary Clinton tried to steal the election. This is just another attempt from the Clinton campaign, the Russia collusion that is, to try and destroy a person's career. I've told you guys this already before. She did the same thing to Barack Obama with the birther theory. This is the same old tactics they've been doing, and they keep getting away with, and they'll probably keep getting away with. Also, we seem to forget that Hillary Clinton had this big email scandal that was actually one of the biggest, if not the biggest news in recent history, recent American history, that is, with all the classified emails sent on a private server, her destroying a bunch of emails, bleaching her server, drilling it so that way it could not be recovered in any way, shape, or form. That is the biggest scandal we have ever faced in this recent time period. And now we're talking about campaign finance violation laws being the biggest violation or scandal to take place in American history as of recently, which is completely irresponsible on the media's behalf to forget what just happened to the Democratic Party and how they actually stole the election away from Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was supposed to be the Democratic primary, was supposed to be the Democratic nominee to run against President Trump. That's who was supposed to run, not Hillary Clinton. They cheated him out of that, and Bernie Sanders just took it as a team player and didn't say anything about it because he wants to run in 2020. Now, do I think he'll win in 2020? No. President Trump is going to get reelected, especially if Democrats keep playing the games that they're playing as of right now. And President Trump even acknowledged that if they were to try and impeach him, and if he were impeached, there will be a revolt within the country. And you know what? I kind of think he is right. Maybe not in the sense that France is having riots and things like that. I do think it will cause an uprising among the people and show true. It would just create more political hatred among the citizens. I don't think we'd riot. I think it would just cause a lot of chaos within our social life. There will be a lack and confuse of leadership. It will just be completely scary to see that happen because half of the country voted for this man, and the reason for investigation has not proved him to be guilty in anything that they said he was, which they're just lying. They're lying and reaching. And if they try to impeach President Trump, he'll become popular, he'll win re-election. If they somehow succeed, which is beyond me on how they would be able to do that, being that the Senate is ran by the Republicans right now, and they would need to persuade over half of the Republicans to vote with them on articles of impeachment, which they wouldn't go for it because most of the senators agree, well, Republican senators agree with President Trump. Now, we'll see exactly how the Democrats are going to play this out. My belief is that they're going to try and go along with articles of impeachment. There will be a divide within the Democratic Party, though. There'll be the wing, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, who do not believe impeachment will be the smart thing to do. And then there'll be your progressives, your new elected people coming into office, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others, who will try and push this through, which is going to further divide the country and do nothing to help anybody out. And this is why people are tired of politicians. People are tired of those who are doing things just to maintain power. And that's exactly what's going on in the Democratic Party. That's what we see right now. And it is very sickening that that's all they want to do is just maintain power. They'll do whatever they can to keep power. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to just be honest with the facts here, except for those on the right. The mainstream media will not tell it how it is because they are predominantly funded by left-wing organizations and ran by left-wing organizations. So why are they going to dog their own party? That's what's going on with Michael Cohen. He's going to jail for 3 years. Trump, we'll see if the Democrats are willing to divide their country and divide their party to try and impeach President Trump on things that are completely unrelated to the Russia investigation. Moving on to other news. Yesterday, I believe this story came out where a 9-year-old girl in Alabama had committed suicide. And the reason she committed suicide is because she was being bullied. And her mom had told news reporters that her child had reported this bullying before. The school did nothing about this. And the school that she was at was the second school she had been to due to bullying. Now, her aunt states that the kids were bullying her all year long and telling her things like she should go kill herself, and also said, and I quote from the article from the Daily Caller, "You think you're white because you ride with that white boy. You ugly black bee, just die." So she was being harassed, bullied, picked on because she rode to school with a white boy and her and his family. This is insane. This is insane. I say that because there's so much going on in our society right now, especially with suicide ranking up there as one of the leading causes of death in America. 45,000 10-year-olds or older committed suicide in 2016. This is one of the epidemics that is going on in America, and it is a completely unique phenomenon in the first world, which is suicide. Now, I'll touch on some of that in a second. I want to talk about this case a little bit more. Now, they don't have all the details as of right now. There's obviously an investigation going on. We don't know who the kids were that said it. I don't really think the kids who were bullying her should be the only ones to be blamed. Their parents should also be blamed. Why do I say that? Well, what 9-year-old, what elementary student comes up with racist thoughts on their own? Maybe they do. I doubt it though. I highly doubt it. I believe it starts at home. And their parents either have to be one or two things. In my opinion, this is. And that is, they have to be completely brainwashed by this cultural Marxism that has took a hold of our society to make us believe all white people are evil and you can't hang out with white people because they're the oppressors. Or it is because the parents don't believe black kids or blacks in general are on equal footing as white people. Either way, it's egregious. It's disgusting. It's saddening. This is right before Christmas. They were just buying her Christmas gifts, getting ready to hide the Christmas presents, going to have a good celebration, a family time. Now, this 9-year-old took her own life. That's so sad. It really is. My thoughts and my prayers go out to her family. I know that isn't a whole lot. But that's what I can do, and that's what you can do as well. And we need to do a couple things. First thing I would say is obviously stand up to those who bully. Make sure if the school's not doing anything about it, then you do something about it. I mean, seriously. And then second thing I would say is we have to work on removing the victim culture that is taking over our society, which comes from the cultural Marxism, the oppressed and the oppressor, because that's why so many young people are killing themselves. They're developing this nihilistic mentality that has them believe the West, America, is evil. The whole system needs to be destroyed. There's no good coming out of it. You are oppressed. And the world will never change. There's no meaning. there's no better future in sight. The past is all there is. And they reconstruct that past to fit a narrative. That narrative has been indoctrinating children for years and years and years. I see that take place in my college that I go to right now on certain topics. We cherry pick, not we, but they cherry pick their historical points of views. We start making history progressive, including women in scenarios where they weren't even involved in history or played a very insignificant role. We start talking about transgender people as if they played some significant role in American history. I'm not trying to demonize women or transgenders or gays or bisexuals, by no means necessary. I believe everybody has a fair shot in this country. Did we have a rough past? Yeah, we did, but we had a lot of good things in that past too. The reality is, what's going on and being taught in history is, for the most part, inaccurate to fit a narrative. And this narrative is sucking the soul out of so many children, making them believe that there's no future, like I've already stated. And with that, they go down this deep hole of depression and do things such as kill themselves. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened in this case. I don't think it is. I mean, she was obviously bullied to no end. That's so sad. Once again, I can't stand bullies. I can't stand bullies. I was always the type of person that would stand up to them and try to help those who were being bullied. But I have to admit, too, that I did go to a very good school where everybody did the same thing. So this is a very sad moment for this family, especially coming up on the holidays. We just need to be more aware and make sure that the proper steps are taken to avoid allowing children to go down this nihilistic hole, to get sucked in this revisionist history that tells us everything in the West is bad, everything we do is bad, that our whole society is bad. It causes so many unnecessary things to occur, and suicide's one of those things. We're so privileged that suicide has become one of the most leading causes of death. You don't see this in third world countries. There's hope for a better day. There's hope for a better tomorrow. There is obvious progress being made in a lot of these third world countries. We're coming to an end of third world countries as we know it. The world's becoming a much better place than it ever was, and we're being taught otherwise. We're distorting history, and it's sad because young people start taking their lives, and we start glorifying suicide as well. We talk about it all the time, which then leaves an imprint on children's minds that that's an option. This famous person did it. That famous person did it. 13 Reasons Why. Even though I like the show, I think it's an okay show. My wife and I watch it. There's just so many things that have come together to help promote this behavior of suicide. I mean, I don't remember anybody my age or myself even fathoming the thoughts of killing myself or themselves at 9 years old. At 9 years old. That's supposed to be the furthest thing from your mind. I can see how this came to be with the bullying and such. The school should have obviously did more, being that the parents are saying they haven't done anything. although we need to do some further investigation and see exactly what happened in this case, and is the school really to blame? As of the information we have, it seems so, but we don't have all the information. But that's the story going on right now with the 9-year-old who lost her life. I mean, she took her own life. And this is very sad. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And hopefully there can be some kind of justice brought to them. I don't really know what more you can do, being that they lost their daughter, but I guess we'll find out more as that story develops. Now, going over to France, as we all know, it's been all over the news. France has just had major riots because of, well, one of the main reasons the riots occurred is due to a climate change initiative to increase fuel taxes. That wasn't the only reason. That is the main reason that the media has portrayed it out to be, when there is a bunch of other things that came together to stir this uprising that is not being talked about. One of those things has to do with the mass migration over in the European countries from predominantly Muslim countries. Not by any means, well, I want to preface with this. I have nothing against anybody's religion whatsoever. There is no denying that there are some religions that have produced more radicals than others. There's historical evidence on that, and there is present day evidence on that. And in the present day, we're seeing most of the extremists coming out of Muslim countries. Is that to say all Muslims are extreme? No. Not in the slightest. I'm sure a lot of them are very, very well-meaning, Allah, which is their God-fearing people. We cannot lie and state that there is no extremism when it comes to Muslims. And that's what's been portrayed in the mainstream media to try and prevent anybody from feeling offended, which is wrong on so many levels, yet we see the mainstream media quick to bash Christians, Catholics. We don't care about offending those people. Why don't we care about offending those people? Well, probably because they're not chanting death to America. My guess is that a lot of people are just too scared or want to help them overthrow our great country. I don't know. I tend to go with the former. The latter seems a little too extreme and a little too much like a very radical conspiracy theory. Anyway, so what happened in France is a extreme Muslim, extreme terrorist, Islamic terrorist, shot 14 people and killed them. And I mean, he shot 14 people, killing at least 3. He got away. Still don't know where he's at. They've posted a picture of his face on Twitter. Apparently, he bragged to the taxi driver who he got a ride from after the shooting, saying that he was in a shootout with soldiers. This is one of the main reasons the French people were rioting, is due to cases like this, where there are people in their country that want to bring down their country and take it over. That's their belief. They want to spread the Muslim Islam across the world. There are those who want to do it by any means necessary and kill those who do not conform to their beliefs. This is extremely irresponsible to ignore on the mainstream media's behalf, that this is part of the Islamic agenda for some. We can't ignore that. This is plain as day. And the French people are aware of that, as are many others in European countries. The mass migration has caused so much upheaval within their societies, which receives little media attention. Yet, when a fuel tax is implemented that the people go crazy, they quickly mask it over that and disregard everything else going on over in the European countries, and France in particular, being that that's the country we're talking about. We don't cover that in the mainstream media, which is also another reason why, another example as to why President Trump calls the press the enemy of the people. If they were truly doing their job and they truly cared about the people, they would be informing us on the entire situation, not just a snippet of it to distort what's going on. Just like I've stated before, distorting history. They're distorting the present. They're manipulating everything to fit their narrative. It's all a part of, well, the climate change thing is part of the open borders policy. Tax the crap out of people, punish them for using everyday materials without having a proper or an adequate solution to CO2 emission. There's no evidence that it causes higher temperatures, none whatsoever. And this is a tax that is just going to disproportionately affect people like you and I. It's going to disproportionately affect poor countries, while they still, I'm not seeing a lot of people in the government who are promoting this using an electric vehicle, using solar panels on their houses, not flying in airplanes because they're big CO2 emitters. We don't see them practicing what they preach, and yet they want you and I to do what they're not willing to do and want us to pay the price. That's not right. Not right. That's why people are upset. Another reason people are upset is because of mass migration, as I've already stated. Too many facts are being left out. That's the truth. And people are upset about that. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's the news for today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.